Dave Chappelle has opened negotiations with the trans community. Such a strange thing to have to say in 2021. But you may remember that Netflix weirdos didn't like the fact that one of the world's most popular comedians made jokes. And so they organized a walkout of Netflix, the actual employees of Netflix. About 150 of them gathered near Netflix's Hollywood offices and complained. One person called Ashley Marie Preston, who said she and the other members of the community had invited Chappelle on multiple occasions to have a transformative dialogue, but he had made it clear it was of no interest to him. Who are you? Sorry, what do you do? Well, I do, makeup at Netflix. Sorry, why would I care about having a dialogue with you? Because I'm offended by your special.
He's got no reason to give up his time for somebody he doesn't know.
No, and like the arrogance of thinking, right, okay, we demand it.
But I'm trans.
Yeah.
Why are they trans? Oh, I'm an ally, I should say.
This is a political statement. It's like, okay, but Dave Chappelle isn't a state. Like, he doesn't have to negotiate with you.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't elected. He's not in control of anything. He just makes jokes and people enjoy his jokes.
Just the assumption of entitlement is extraordinary, isn't it?
It's mad, isn't it? Preston, of course, also accused Netflix of, which has repeatedly supported the comedian in recent days, of making money off our inability to understand intersectionality. Now, I don't know whether that's a misspeak or something, but I agree that they have an inability to understand intersectionality. She says, I should have first and foremost acknowledged in those... Oh, sorry. The CEO of Netflix, something Sarandos, I can't remember his first name now, has apologized for this and said, well, I should have accepted that the employees were in pain. But he didn't back down on having Dave Chappelle on Netflix because obviously money. Mm-hmm. And so Dave Chappelle did respond to this. So negotiations have opened. He says,
oh, God.
I know. He says he's willing to meet with the trans community. What does that mean? Like, the trans community is essentially a synonym for the trans race. Like, when they say the community, they mean any trans person. It's like, okay, well, do they have an elected representative? Like, is there a parliament or senate?
Like a headquarters?
Yeah, maybe a capital that the trans people have, where they elect representatives or something. Who knows? But he went on Instagram and said, to the transgender community, I'm more than willing to give you an audience. King Chappelle is willing to give the trans community an audience. I just love the way this is playing out. This is ridiculous. I'm more than willing to give you an audience, but you will not summon me. I'm not bending to anybody's demands. And if you want to meet with me, I'd be more than willing to, but I have some conditions. So what I love about this is Dave Chappelle is basically talking in sort of feudal terms to the trans community, as if maybe this is like the emperor in Constantinople making demands of a European king or something. Who knows? But he says first, he's got 3 demands, right? First, you cannot come if you have not watched my special from beginning to end. Seems reasonable because in the special, I don't know whether you've seen it, he essentially does address the trans community saying, well, look, I'm not going to talk about this anymore unless we're all on the same page and we're all, laughing together rather than being oppositional. It's fair. And the second one is you must come to a place of my choosing and a time of my choosing. Smart, choose the battlefield.
Yep.
The way to win any war. But again, like, who? I mean, what's he going to do? Like, is it going to be some outdoor arena or something? I don't know, who knows, right? But the third one is the best one. You must admit that Hannah Gadsby is not funny.
Who's Hannah Gadsby?
Great question. She's an Australian comedian who got roped into this because she's not funny.
Right.
But this third part is the real sort of tactical genius, because there's no way they're going to admit that. So there's no way that he has to go any further than this. And so the walkout organizer responded to Dave Chappelle. Not happy. Again, now we have 2 feudal lords engaging here. Ashley Marie Preston spoke with the Washington Post to who are you? Why does the Washington Post care about you? To reveal how she previously did want to talk to Chappelle about his transphobic remarks in his previous 2019 special Sticks and Stones, but calls his response unfortunate. Essentially, he was mocking us. Yes, he was. He was indeed mocking you. And do you know why, Miss Preston? It's because you are worthy of being mocked. What you're doing is ridiculous, and you're treating Dave Chappelle as if he's a foreign power, which he isn't. He's a comedian. Preston believes that Chappelle is not being genuine by issuing demands to Netflix employees. Oh, really? Is it because you refuse to condemn Hannah Gadsby as not being funny? And she is not thrilled with how he's drawing parallels to his situation in the murder of George Floyd. As she says in the Washington Post, in the performance Chappelle posted on Instagram, he claims since the backlash erupted over the closer, film festivals won't screen a new documentary called Untitled, in which he shows how he dealt with the death of George Floyd during the global pandemic. You have to answer the question, am I cancelled or not? Chappelle said to the crowd, which responded with a collective no. Preston believed that in referencing Floyd and claiming that his film was pulled from festivals, Chappelle was framing himself either as a victim and pitting the transgender and black communities against each other. He already did that in the closer, she said. He already pits blackness against queerness as if black, trans, and queer folks don't exist.
When did he do that?
In the closer. But the thing is, he made a very good point, right? In one part, he says, well, look, you guys are of a marginalized community only until you're dealing with a black person, and then you become white again. And it was actually a very subtle way that he'd done it, because he pointed out in a bar, he was having an argument with a big gay Texan guy or something. And he's like, oh, I'm going to have a fight with this guy. And as soon as he was like, no, okay, we're going to have this fight. And as soon as it looked like it was going to be a fight, the gay man, being white, pulled out his phone and called the cops. And Dave Chappelle's like, well, as a black person wouldn't have done that. And so, a marginalized person wouldn't have done that. So essentially he is saying, well, look, what you've done is you've flipped identities from being gay to being white. As a white person, you expect the cops to turn up and assist you against a black person who you're going to get in a fight with. And so she's complaining, oh, you're pitting queerness against blackness. That's what she's saying there.
Yeah.
And she's saying as if black queer folks don't exist. It's like, they do, obviously. But what he's saying is the amorphous and sort of malleable nature of these identities means that you do it without thinking about it.
Yeah.
Whereas, he says he's a black person all the time, so he doesn't have that option. But saying, well, look, there are black queer folks, well, that doesn't refute his point, And weirdly, Dave Chappelle has kind of outmaneuvered them here, playing the identity politics game and mocked them at the same time and making them look ridiculous. But he's actually done a great job. He's obviously a lot more clever than they're giving him credit for, frankly.
Yeah.
But poor old Hannah Gadsby, though, right? I've never watched anything by Hannah Gadsby. I don't know anything about her apart from she's an insufferable lesbian comedian.
No.
But the thing is, she didn't have anything to do with this. She got roped into it just because she got name dropped during this. And then Dave Chappelle obviously name dropped her again. But again, what he's done here is essentially just dropped the hot potato in her lap and then walked off. And now they're not interested in talking to Dave Chappelle. It's like, oh, well, he's not being serious. We don't want to talk to him. Okay, great. He doesn't have to deal with you now.
Yeah.
And now it's Hannah Gadsby that's got the sort of the collective Twitter Eye of Sauron on her. But Hannah Gadsby fans are of course furious about this. And this was a moment for all of her fans and fellow comedians, dare we say, to refute Chappelle's claim that she's not funny. And so you've got a bunch of people who are just like randos, like healthcare advocate Kendall Brown. I guess people are prominent on social media. Hannah Gadsby is living rent-free in the heads of every male comedian in existence and absolutely eating them up inside. And for that, among other things, I love her very much. It's good if you think that. It's good that you think that Hannah Gadsby is living rent-free in everyone's heads, because now Dave Chappelle can just wander off and not pay any attention to you. You fools. Meanwhile, comedian Dan Telfer said, Hannah Gadsby is too smart and funny to deserve having the most self-righteous dumb Fs in comedy drag her into the conversation. Yep, keep talking about her and not Dave Chappelle. Chappelle seems super drunk and self-pitying, totally unnecessary to take a shot at Hannah Gadsby and sick his internet trolls on her, said another comic, Sean Kent.
Christ, that potato was hot, wasn't it?
It was absolutely nuclear. The fact that they're... all Dave Chappelle has done is just told you to piss off in very clever terms. And he has absolutely run circles around these idiots. I'm honestly genuinely impressed.
Yeah.
Because Chappelle has put himself in a very controversial position. I'm probably going to do a premium podcast about this, because his entire, the closer, the entire set is an entirely political diatribe. Everything in it is a political subject, and he navigates it with surprising finesse. To be able to sort of wind them back in on themselves like he's done now. And so that's, there are a bunch of other examples, but I won't labor the point. You can see that they're now chasing their own tails on Twitter. Dave Chappelle's walked away with $20 million and is super successful, and they can't do anything about it. Good job, Dave.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full thing at 1 p.m. every weekday at lotuseaters.com, or you can sign up to get access to all the premium content we have on the site.
Yeah, we've got loads of really good stuff. Every week we have a Contemplations and Epochs episode that goes up, and in the Contemplations we talk about just interesting things, and the Epochs episodes are probably my favourite because I love talking about history. This latest one is we're doing a bit of a series on the 100 Years' War and why England kept winning. And we've not finished it yet, and you're going to really enjoy the end of that one. But we've also got other excellent episodes that we do, like the book club. The most recent one was Shooting an Elephant by George Orwell. This was about his time in Burma as a colonial officer, and when he was tasked with the shooting of a rampaging elephant. And it's really, really interesting what the circumstance of the thing was. But we also have lots of other content, such as premium articles, which have audio tracks on them for our silver and gold subscribers. And we do premium podcasts about things that we don't really feel that we can put on YouTube or have done a particularly large amount of research into. And so it's worth keeping them slightly more private. And we also do lots of very interesting interviews, such as this one with comedian Steve Hughes, which was really fascinating because I didn't expect him to be a philosopher. But anyway.
Yeah. Also, the last thing to mention is the live event content we have. So we occasionally, when we get around to it, doing our live events, and the videos from them are on the website as premium, of course, because people came to see and paid. So go and check that out. This is on the worst of critical race theory.
Yes.
And I do mean the worst.
It's unconscionable.
Yeah. So if you'd like access to all that premium content, go to lotuseaters.com and subscribe. Thank you and goodbye.